Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mangs, and today I got a bit of a different video for you guys. We are going to be taking a look at a very high-level Advanced Wars tournament match, but with some included notes from the submitter of this game, XL Napkins, one of the players of the match. He sent this in to me at my Advanced Wars replay submitter email, and he included some notes on the match, which I will be displaying on screen as we go through it. So we get to see a bit of a commentary from one of the players, which I think is actually really cool. So he starts with this. Hi Mangs, I would like for you to review my Drake vs Funbolt tournament match. This match shows two things. One, the utilization of early tanks to delay captures. Two, using battlecopters as Drake. Drake battlecopters still have the same defense, just not as much attack. Therefore, you still need to build anti-air to deal with them. Even as Funbolt, I feel like my opponent should have done that instead of just relying on copters. This was a brawl-type style of game, with a couple of mistakes included. My thoughts for some of the turns are below if you want further insight. I hope you select my game, and I love the content you put out. XL Napkins. So, yeah, he included a bunch of notes, which I will be showing on screen whenever we get there. I think that's kind of cool, because this is a very high-level match, and I'm not sure if I can do it justice just with my own commentaries. It's nice to have some notes to look up. Maybe he can point out some things that I miss. So yeah, the submitter of this particular match is XL Napkins. I've heard about this guy. I don't know if I've covered his matches before, but his name is familiar to me. Very strong player. 1400 MMR rated. That's how you know they know how to play Advanced Wars. But he is up against an absolute titan in dead Fs. You guys should know all about dead Fs if you followed my channel. Not only has he won 3 tournaments in the past, he's also won, I think, the Advanced Wars Grandmaster Live Tournament twice. Just an absolutely phenomenal player. 1600 MMR rated player, but I think he's probably closer to 1700. He just doesn't play Global League a lot. But he is disgustingly good. He's just one of those players that almost never makes mistakes. He's good in live, he's good in regular Advanced Wars matches. He plays in a ton of tournaments. And this is, as I said, this is the semifinals of the Glenstorm Cup, which is a high funds Advanced Wars Survival tournament. It's still ongoing, I believe. So this match actually pretty recently finished. And the map that they're playing on is called Donu and Deka. This map is actually on the Advanced Wars Live League pools. I've played this several times. It's a really fun match. Of course, this is not a live game. You can see on the timers that this is not like a 5-minute game. This is much longer than that. And being a tournament match, it does follow some slightly different rules, aside from Global Leagues, that you guys may not see very often. First of all, there's a 35-day limit, so the match cannot go forever. There's a 65 unit limit, stealths and bombs are banned, 2,000 funds per base, because this is a high funds match, so every property is worth a lot more. And as you can see, capture limit is quite high at 44, so this is a high eco matchup. It's going to be a lot of money on each side here, and that makes the CO matchup even more interesting. So we are seeing Funbolt versus Drake. I love this matchup. I love playing Drake here because I just love global damage and high funds. You get your Typhoon so often in high funds. It's ridiculous. Like there are certain parts of the match where you will see the Typhoon every other turn, which, you know, in addition to all the global damage and the rain slowing your troops down, also has the added effect of draining a lot of fuel. So you do need to be wary of that. Of course, Funbolt, no slouch either. His Ex Machina, you actually do see it more in high funds. It comes down a lot more often. You'll need to bunch up your units in smart ways to avoid getting them stunned. And of course, that 10% attack and firepower bonus, or sorry, attack and defense bonus that Funbolt has over your troops, it's just as annoying to deal with in high funds as it is in any other game format. But you do have the advantage of being able to tech up to avoid taking those engagements sometimes. But yeah, this is a really cool map. I like it. Exposed com towers. It looks deceptively a lot more open than it is, but it's actually a pretty closed off map because you have these like reefs right here. You have the pipes, which kind of cleaves the map in two. Lots of forests and mountains, lots of places for Funbolt to park his vehicles, lots of cities for him to sit on, empty missile silos for even further defense. And of course you have airports, and as you may have seen from the title of this video and the introduction, we're going to be seeing some Drake battlecopters, which, yeah, that's going to be interesting. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, when the notes come on screen, I will be reading them out. And, yeah, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I say we get into the match, shall we? So, I was going to record this map a little bit earlier, but my sound add-on broke, so I had to wait a few hours. But thank you very much to the creator of the sound add-on for fixing it for me. Sometimes things will break here. But yeah, we got XL Napkins as Drake in the green trunks up in the top right corner here, going up against Dead Fs in the black trunks in the bottom of the map right here. First thing the players has to do is to capture their idle bases. And I do believe we already have, on the next turn, we'll have some thoughts from the submitter at the end of the turn. So let me bring it up right here. So you can see day 2.1, we have the first note right here from XL Napkins, and he says, move the infantry towards the middle. When multiple caps exist with the same movement, I feel moving towards the contested property is always the right move. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. I think that is very, very important indeed. So Deadef's, of course, going for his neutral base and pretty much doing the same thing as Napkins. I'm just going to call him Napkins. I think it's an easier name to pronounce. And there's the first tank already on day 4. In high funds, you don't necessarily need to open tanks. It is completely acceptable to just build infantry and tech up immediately, but tanks do have the added benefit of being able to early interrupt. So, but in high funds, a lot of the rules that normally apply to advanced wars kind of go out the window right here. So Napkins moving his tank down into the center of the map. And let's see if Deadef's now he actually goes a Barocopter right here. And Napkins added this note right here. Like the copter opening for my opponent to get the unit count back to even. I don't actually know what he means by that. Like the copter opening? Is he saying that he likes the copter opening or that it's like something? I'm not really sure what he meant by this. But yeah, Barocopter opener from Deadef's right now. Interesting opener, but let's see how it pays off for him. So Napkins has to build an Antire, builds an infantry, and he moves immediately out, and I like this actually. And he has another note for this. Tank block on the weak side to prevent the next capture. So yeah, that's really solid from him right here. Using the tank to deny that this is the only property that Deadefs can really go for here. So already a very smart move right here. And keep in mind that I stress this a lot when I cast high funds matches. Every property that you deny from your opponent is much more valuable in high funds than any other. Interrupting caps in high funds, much more important. Denying properties, even more important. Flipping properties, super important because it's 2,000 less income for your opponent, 2,000 more for you. So that's a 4K income swing. So in high funds, everything is just more crucial to do. Incredibly important to keep this in mind. So, yeah, let's keep going. So Deadef's right here moves his Barocopter. Can't quite reach the tank yet though. So already this tank is doing an amazing job. But Deadef's is producing a tank of his own now. So XL Napkins do have to back off at some point if he doesn't want to have a very, very, very bad time. So now Napkins goes for his airport. Continues to cap a bunch of the properties right here. Moves his Antire down. What kind of is a little bit annoying about this map is that because of these two mountains, your vehicles have to go a very like convoluted roundabout path to reach the middle. An interesting move right here, sending the tank down to attack the infantry and going for the comm tower. So this is pretty solid right here. So here, Napkin says, tank attacking into the infantry on the side to further delay the next cap. This side is kind of weak for the infantry, so any damage is felt a lot during the capture game. You would rather build vehicles from that base. Also, watches the infantry going towards the corner. Finally, it secures the side captures by not letting his tank attack my tank, and still be in range to interrupt. Pretty smart. He even adds a second note right here, where it says, infantry I got nothing for, lol. Probably lured the Barocopter over to the right side, where I would rather fight, but looks like a Manx infantry. That's actually pretty funny. So yeah, very cool, like delaying your opponent's cap is actually worth sort of sacking a tank for. And it keeps the Barocopter away from the center, and he's applying pressure to the comm tower. And looks like Deadefs is using the Barocopter to interrupt the comm tower and attacking from the city right here. So that is definitely a dead tank, but I think Napkins knows that. He knows he's going to lose it, but he's happy to use it just to sack there. Another tank coming out from Dedefs. So far we haven't seen a lot of tanking up yet. It's mostly just tanks and anti-air and battlecopters as of this moment. But I do like this anti-air over here to prevent this infantry from reaching the city. Artillery coming out from Napkins right here. Attacking the infantry again. This infantry is going to be completely useless now as far as capturing goes. Day 8 rolls in. Let's see what Dedefs decides to do. He takes out the tank. He kind of has to. Battlecopter moves in. Has to be careful about this anti-air right here. And moving in. That's so scared, man. Parking those 1-bolt vehicles down on those comm towers. It's like so hard for Drake to attack into that, even with the comm tower of his own. The comm towers are pre-captured, by the way, and that's something I kind of forgot to mention at the start. But they are pre-captured, so they apply instantly. All right, let's see what Napkins decide to do here. He actually attacks with his anti-air, moves in the tank, builds another tank, and also moves his artillery forward. And he has another note that he added here. Anti-air attacking infantry. No, not allowing the cap. It's high funds, and that property is tough to get. I feel that it was well worth the 8k to sack to deny. And yeah, absolutely it is. Yeah, he loses an anti-air, but that property might as well... it could stay gray for the whole match. Some properties just are like that. Alright. So both players moving pretty heavily over to the center over here. We got 4 tanks down here for Dedefs. And as Drake, it is very hard to win an even tank brawl against 1-bolt. So you do definitely need to just hold out until your global damage can come in to equalize the playing field. I like the little shot with the anti-air right here. So far, XL Napkins has sacked 2 vehicles to interrupt captures. Let's see if that translates into a bigger eco boost for him. Because, as you may have known if you watch Deegis and his CO guides, he says that as Drake, you can actually afford to be behind your opponent. So, if you are equal with Drake, or if Drake is 1 property ahead of you, you're actually behind. Because Drake, well, he has global damage, so he can afford to be behind. So Dedef's now taking out that tank, coming in with the battlecopter, and he's pummeling Napkins pretty hard right here. Ooh, that is pretty nasty. Like, if I was watching this game, or if I was playing this game right now, I would think I was losing badly. This does not look good for Napkins at all. At all. And here's a little bit of commentary from him. Dedefs didn't build anti-air in response to my Drake copter. Yeah, I didn't even notice that Drake copter was on the field right there. Even as Drake, a battlecopter can still take favorable trades against tanks. And in a pinch, Drake with a comm tower can trade for 7-5 or 6-5 if the roll works out. Indeed. It was a solid move, though, to kill my 2 tanks. Then the infantry caps prevented favorable tank revenge shots. Yeah, solid moves from Dedefs right here. Very, very scary moves from Dedefs. But yeah, we do indeed have a Drake battlecopter, and Dedefs, I think because he had 3 battlecopters of his own, he feels confident enough to not have to build anti-air against Drake. But I do like the Drake battlecopter. One of the battlecopters goes down. Napkins continues to brawl right here. Yeah, he does not want those properties to be flipped. And there's the Neo tank. That's an excellent tech up right there. And that's one of the things that you can do in high funds. You can tech up very quickly to deny any sort of like aggression against your base. So, and look at the power bars. We're on day 11, and you know, Drake already is very close to having his Typhoon. We're probably going to see it very soon. But Dedefs is not letting up, man. He's moving in, takes out the artillery, and he is not letting up his aggression at all. He continues to go in. Target fires the anti-air, kills it, and yeah, this is ruthless smackdown from Dedefs right here. He is just going all in on the aggression. He knows that he has to win this match quickly. You're not going to win a battle of attrition against Drake, no matter how strong you are. So you want to smack him down quickly. So I'm betting Napkins is sweating a lot here. Neo tank coming out from Dedefs right here. And we got another little note from Napkins right here. Dedefs attacking into me only did 20k worth of damage. I feel he wouldn't have done this if I was anyone other than Drake. I had 2 copters in the area, which could more or less get free hits. Yeah. An additional thing to note is that it did drop my unit count down, so that could be a factor of the attack as well. Yeah, I think Dedos is doing the right thing here, because as I said, yeah, he's attacking into Typhoon, but that Typhoon is coming no matter what. You don't want to stall against Drake. You want to kill him quickly, but yeah, I mean, no anti-air, and there are 2 Drake Copters here, which will get free hits on these tanks. Yeah, sure, they're minus 30%, or minus 20% with the Com Tower, but it's still free hits. So day 11 rolls in right here, and let's see what Napkins decides to do with the counterattack right here. Wow, okay. Attacks the Battlecopter. I guess he wants power charge. That actually makes sense. Boom. And look at that. That Typhoon is scary as ever. And wow, looks like Dedevs don't actually have a lot here. He's going to actually crumble here, and he's going to lose this city right here at 006. Antar comes in, and again, one thing that is very undervalued about Typhoon is how it really limits movements on planes. On planes, it basically acts like snow for vehicles. So look at these tanks. They're super slow right now. But of course, Napkins does have to worry about something right now as he continues to inflict more damage on Dedevs, and that's the fact that the Ex Machina... Oh, he's bunching up his units a lot here. Ooh, I would be very scared of doing this, but I think maybe he's fine. So, Napkin says here, tough to be exact, but I basically destroyed 4 tanks and a Battlecopter. That 20k attack cost him 30k-ish on the counterattack. It also gave me enough for my superpower, yeah? It might be that Dedevs may have been a little too aggressive here. Maybe he should have dialed back the aggression just a tiny bit, as to not give his opponent a free superpower. But let's see, here comes the counterattack right here. Or, I would rather say, the defensive maneuvers, because you don't want to counterattack while the rain is on. That is not a good idea. Yeah, Dedevs is bunching up his units right now, getting a artillery. So, Napkin says, blocked with a tank to guarantee the side cap. I was fine losing a tank as he had no answer for my Neo counter move. First turn, I started moving, planning to steer the Von Bolt superpower away from the fighting. Yeah, this is what I hate about playing Von Bolt, man. It's like, now you got to do the little dance where you have to try and draw the Ex Machina. This is the worst part about playing Von Bolt, man. I hate this shit. It's the same thing with Rachel, but yeah, like he's spreading out all across the map. But of course, the issue with this is that Dedevs can just sit on his power. He doesn't need to pop it. He just sits on it, and the threat of it being active is almost as bad as the power itself, because it means you can't really bunch up. So yeah, Dedevs is really gathering up his forces. He has to be careful with his fuel levels here. Might have to build an APC at some point. But more Neo tanks coming out. And Dedevs is in a pretty good spot right now because, again, he is sitting on his power. He dictates the pace of the match right now. But Napkins does have a capture advantage over Dedevs. 16 properties. And again, as I said, you really don't want to be behind Drake. And it's in fact, he just moved it up to 17. So being behind Drake in properties when you are not a global damage CEO yourself is not a good place to be in. So let's see what happens here, shall we? Let me see right here. I think this was actually for the last map. I do apologize for that. This was for the last turn. Sorry, it's kind of hard to do all these notes, but yeah. Let me just go through that turn one more time. There we go. So Napkin says, Dedev sacrificed the tank to not allow a lab cap. I didn't like that he saw the potential for me to charge his lab. Even with reinforcements, I thought I could capture it still. It would have taken more than 2 days, and I would have had to combine infantry. Yeah, so this is one thing I forget to mention this sometimes, to those of you who may be new to this. Labs are HQs. When there are no HQs on the map, the lab substitutes as the HQ. Some maps have multiple labs, but this map only has one, so you essentially have to view these as the HQs. And yeah, you do need to be careful here, because if Dedevs gets this lab captured, it's an instant loss. And Napkins needs to be careful here, because Dedevs is moving in force towards this lab, so he might try to capture that. So that is very important to keep in mind. You can't just let that happen. So day 13, tank goes down, and yeah, both players have to defend their labs right now. More Neo tanks coming out. And Napkins has another note. He says, this is a big one. I built an artillery to defend my base from a distance. In this situation, a rocket may have been better, but I wanted to keep pumping out Neo-tanks. Also, the Von Bolt superpower would be harder to bait if I needed to build a Neo from the right side base. Basically, I'm baiting the missile to my middle base. Even if it locks me for a turn, I can use my airport to maintain unit count. Also, it's the furthest spot from either front. The infantry line on the right, I thought would buy me another turn. I didn't think he could attack and start lab cap with everything blocking right there. So cool to hear his like internal monologue about why he's doing the things that he's doing. It's really cool. But now Deadef's is going pretty hard on the infantry right here. Bunch of vehicles are coming in, and they are wiping out a bunch of the infantry here. This is scary right here. Like this, he is threatening a lab cap right now. And because he's Von Bolt, he can allow to clump his units together. In fact, he wants Napkins to clump his units up like crazy. So, pretty hectic match so far. There's a lot of aggression on both sides right here. With Deadef's, of course, being the most aggressive one. But yeah, look at the Ex Machina. It is so close to hitting right now. And yeah, Napkins is giving up this lab right now. He knows that he can't get it. But yeah, this turn he will have to do some serious dancing to avoid the Ex Machina. He also has to try and inflict some damage on Deadef's, because that lab is very vulnerable right now. And a nice Neo-tank, actually. A Battlecopter and an infantry coming out right here. And Napkin says the following. Sorry, this is the... this was a solid attack that left me having to deal with a Von Bolt Neo on a city. Battlecopters to block. And he had artillery to cover. Although, Dedef said that the 3 HP infantry should have been moved next to the artillery. Because of that, my tank got a free shot on his artillery. And was in position to interrupt the lab cap. So, but yeah, that's the infantry he was talking about where he pops his superpower. And this looks to be pretty scary right here, because now he can go for the interrupt. But, of course, ladies and gentlemen, this would have been a victory for him. Absolutely, it would have. And I do believe, I do apologize, because this was supposed to be for this turn, so there you go. So I spoiled the matchup a little bit, but yeah, this is what he meant. This was a solid attack that left me having to deal with Von Bolt Neo on a city, Battlecopters to block, and an artillery to cover. But yeah, apparently the 3 HP infantry was misplaced. It should have been moved next to the artillery to avoid the free shot. Yeah, so that's what he meant. My bad. So, in any other situation, this would have been GG right here. But of course, Napkins pops his Typhoon. And a really solid counterattack right here. My goodness. Yeah, that's the free hit right there. Of course, he is not able to attack the infantry, but it doesn't matter because he has 2 more turns to interrupt this. Really, really, really solid counterattack right there. Incredibly solid counterattack. So Napkin says, I swarm my lab. If your lab HQ is being camped, you'll want as many options as possible to clear. So I threw the kitchen sink in that direction. Yeah, absolutely. And that rain is really starting to get to Deadef's right now. You can tell, like, his units are waning quickly. And he doesn't join camp, but rather he just pulls his units together. But this is a scary situation right here for Napkins. Very, very scary situation here for Napkins indeed. So, we're in day 16. Let's see what Napkins can do right here. Battlecopters come in and see how useful these Battlecopters are. Deadef's, by the way, still doesn't have any anti-air here. His anti-air is over here. These Drake Battlecopters are actually winning him the game right now. Because, yeah, sure, they don't hit that hard, especially not against Von Bolt. But they're blocking his movement and being really solid. So, yeah, Drake Battlecopters, ladies and gentlemen. They're actually really good. The 4 HP tank had been damaged before, therefore it wasn't a roll anymore. It was possible that his infantry could survive the 1 HP after the Battlecopter shot, but I would have had to basically low roll on everything. But he was able to get it down at the end of the day. And, ladies and gentlemen, Deadef's decides to resign. So yeah. Very fun little match. High aggression on both sides. Really risky lab cap there by Deadef's. But Drake was just able to win, and not only that, his battlecopters carried him to victory. So yeah, if you're Drake, don't sleep on battlecopters. They can still be very useful, especially in high funds where you got a lot of economy to throw around. And Napkins was able to take a win against probably one of the best Advanced Wars players of all time in Dead Fs. Just goes to show that, you know, even giants can fall sometimes. You should never count yourself out. And especially in high funds where the matches are so volatile. But of course, we can't take anything away from Napkins either. That was beautifully played. Clearly, a very skilled player. It's not every day you can say that you've taken a win against Dead Fs. So, looking forward to follow Napkins further on in the tournament. If you wanna like show me more of the matches, I can show you the bracket. I think. Just have to like do this. So. This is the bracket, in case you're wondering, and Napkins is, where is, yeah, so Napkins, oh, he's facing Shiu. That is Shiu. He is terrifying. This guy's absolutely a monster, so, yeah, if you guys want me to cast this match when it eventually comes around, maybe with some thoughts from Napkins himself, I'd love to follow him through this tournament. He will have to face Tethys in the finale. I have no idea who this is. Never heard of this guy. But he must be strong. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this little tournament match. Best of luck to Napkins moving forward. Bye-bye.